Let's have a seat. All right. So, thanks. We're here in South County, investigating the urban legend referred to as the Witch Tower. Legend has it that this tower was part of the original hospital that the exorcism in St. Louis was performed at, and that it was the only remaining tower, and it was cursed. Every time they tried to knock the tower over, the equipment broke, and so the tower has remained standing these 70, 80 some odd years.
Wait, didn't somebody die when they tried to tear it down?
I think so.
Yeah,
and
some guy died.
Satanic cults used to practice in the basement. And also...
It was also where the nuns lived. The nuns that worked in the hospital lived in the tower.
They did. And it was on the second floor. The room was locked. That was the room, the actual room in which the exorcism was held.
Documents were found.
Now, we came out here investigating this legend. It was something that we used to check out as teenagers. We used to drive out here and traipse through the woods.
I almost got arrested.
And typically you would walk through the woods and you would never be able to find the tower until you would turn around and it would be about 2 feet in front of you.
You'd run into it.
You'd literally run into it because it was a spooky,
It would disappear and
invisible
reappear.
tower.
Because it was cursed. And
So,
it had special powers.
as far as the tower not being able to get knocked down, well,
Debunked.
debunked.
This is the tower, guys.
We're sitting on the remains of the Witch Tower.
And the rocks we climbed over.
So the legend of the Witch Tower has been debunked. In this film, we're going to tell you how the urban legend was created. Okay, so you're telling us about the legend of Molly Crenshaw?
I am.
Okay, when did you first hear about the legend?
Oh, probably grade school.
What can you tell us about the legend? Like, what is it?
Molly Crenshaw was a witch and drawn and quartered, presumably for being a witch, and the legend is that they were so afraid of her that they buried all the pieces in separate areas, and every year the pieces slowly come closer and closer together until eventually they will reunite and she will rise.
Oh, that's pretty creepy.
It is.
So, what can you tell us about the legend? Or, I mean, have you ever explored the legend?
Not really. I mean, when people talk about it, I'll ask them as much as they know, but I've never gone out and researched it on my own or anything.
Had you heard any stories about people experiencing the legend?
There were apparently some high school football students that went out searching for it and found the graveyard, but ended up getting impaled, I guess, while trying to enter the graveyard or something. I don't know exactly.
Creepy. Have you ever tried to find her grave or graves?
The prospect of that seemed a bit silly to me, because if they bury the pieces in separate places, then I don't know that there is a single place you could go for it.
Alright. So do you know any of the history of the legend?
I believe she was possibly freed, but a slave and from Jamaica or something.
Okay. Do you know any of the truth behind the legend?
Just what I've said. Nothing more than that.
The myth, the legend, I should say, it's very exorcist in the fact that it is a small child who is possessed by a demon. But the true story, I believe, was a boy instead of a girl. The boy was from New York, and there were some letters carved in the boy's chest. STL, I believe that's what it was. Anyway, he was sent over to Missouri to get treatment at Alexian Brothers Hospital. It's not there anymore. He was cured, and he was sent to recover at Koch Hospital Psych Ward, which I believe is no longer there either. It's just one of those things where I guess you have to be there to know exactly what happened.
Joseph, you're talking to us today about the legend of Quarantine Hospital, is that right?
Quarantine hospital? You mean like the tuberculosis hospital?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What can you tell us about the legend?
Just after they tore it down and kind of put a residential area over a lot of the graveyard, that there's ghosts and spooky stuff in the woods around there.
Okay. Have you ever explored the legend?
Well, we did go out to where the graves were, and we found like 6 graves, but that was about it, and they're all overgrown.
Okay. Do you know anybody else that's experienced or explored the legend?
Just hear about people going down there, like checking out the tower and stuff, but that's about it.
What can you tell us about the legend of the tower?
That there's like nuns haunting it, kind of like the other thing, just ghosts and things like there was an exorcism in there. As far as I know, kids just kind of go there and drink and do whatever.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the legend of the Witch Tower in South County?
Yeah. It's supposed to be indestructible, but there were people that were trying to tear it down, and tools kept breaking, and some guy died, and I don't know. There were some people from my high school that were really into it and decided they were going to go finish the job, and went off and ran out of gas and got lost and all this other stuff, and we're trying to blame that on the legend. And
Did you ever go and try to find it?
No, I never did.
Okay. Do you know any of the history behind that legend?
It was part of a tuberculosis hospital or something, and they tore the rest of it down but couldn't tear that down.
Have you ever heard anything about the legend of the Witch Tower in South County? What happens there?
What happens there? Well, apparently, because so many people died in that area, that you can see like apparitions or ghosts or whatever you want to call them. Or the weirdest one is the one about the nun, where she runs around and like she'll come up behind you and like bless you, but then all of a sudden pokes your eyes out.
Okay. Do you know any of the history behind the legend?
Which one?
Of the hospital.
Of the hospital?
Yeah.
Just that tuberculosis patients went there, and yeah, that's all I really know about it. I think my grandmother stayed there for a while when she had TB, but all she did there was rest. She didn't see any ghosts or anything.
Any other crazy goings on?
I don't know. People go there and do satanic rituals in the basement or something.
Oh yeah?
Don't put any stock in that either, but that's what I've heard.
Pokes your eyes out.
In review, let's talk about the legends that created the legend of the Witch Tower.